Hey, everybody, and welcome back to your favorite podcast, The Assumption Effect. I'm Flossie here with Nikki, and we're going to discuss something interesting today and about coaches who are giving manifestation a bad rap and telling people, their subscribers, their clients, their followers, things that are just not true. That's messing with them getting their manifestations. I mean, I sometimes every once in a while make a video on Your Thoughts Create called Trippin' Balls Thursday, where I call out, some of the BS that I hear from people about coaches. But Nikki and I wanted to actually discuss this together and give our points of view on these coaches that are telling people things that is so limiting, literally not true, based on some assumption that they created somehow that is like messing everybody up.
So as a coach, we do have our own lives, right? So for us, those lives come with our own limits, our own limiting assumptions, limiting of beliefs, whatever you want to call them. And we're only human, but we do our best not to push those onto others. And for me personally, how I see this going down is Flossie and myself, other coaches we know, other people we sub with, or have worked with in the past. They will work with the client. That client will get a little bit of movement, or maybe they see this as a quick money scheme for them, and they will run off and start a TikTok or an Instagram, buy some followers, and start preaching to the masses with some half-ass information. And the problem with that is they treat this like it is a magic trick. They treat this like this is some woo-woo BS crap. And then they get deeper into it and they start studying on their own and they fall down the wrong rabbit hole because they haven't actually studied this. So they're just flying by the seat of their pants and they'll start telling you crap. Like, you need to heal your inner child. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to stop affirming. You need to stop being so desperado for your SP, and affirming does that. We've heard countless things from our clients, and I've seen it myself coming across YouTube or TikTok, and I'll see this stupid ass coach, excuse my French, and we're not going to call anybody out by name, 20 years old. I've been manifesting for 10 years. Have you? We've all been manifesting since the day we were born, lady. Like, you're 20 years old. What do you possibly know? Can you know everything there is to know about manifesting at age 20? Absolutely. But I don't think you should be out there preaching to people a bunch of false BS because you're claiming you've been studying this for 10 years. I don't know. Oh my God, there's so many things I've heard, so many things I've seen. I don't even know how these people exist.
Well, some of the most recent things I've been told, which was going to be a little bit of what Nikki and I were just going to mention to you guys, is I had a client who, for whatever reason, booked a call with a different coach. And then when they talked to me again, they said that this coach told them that they needed to fix, they didn't use the word inner child, but they said that they needed to fix their self-concept so that they could be in a better place, so that they could properly manifest, essentially was the take that I got, to manifest their SP. Because if they manifested their SP back, it wasn't going to last. And it typically takes 1 to 2 years minimum to manifest a specific person. 1 to 2 years. Can you imagine what would happen if we gave everybody the assumption that it's going to take 1 to 2 years to manifest a specific person?
No, I've seen it. I've done it myself in 10 days. Other things have taken me some time, but I would never give somebody else the limitation because I had a shitty mental diet or I had a shitty mindset about something. That doesn't mean that the person that I'm talking to would have the same mindset I had when I was still learning back in the day. Just because I had a shitty mental diet back then doesn't mean that, and it took me longer, it doesn't mean it's going to take Sally Sue, who's coaching with me now, a year and a half, 2 years to manifest a specific person. Because guess what? I've learned from my mistakes. I know my shit. And I'm telling them exactly what to do step by step. You're telling them exactly what to do step by step. We know, we've learned from our mistakes. We have been down the rabbit hole of every which way of law of assumption, law of belief, law of attraction, law of BS. I don't give a fuck. We know the ins and outs of all of them because Flossie and I both have studied all of these. We have been practicing this more than just, oh, we coached with somebody and now we know our shit. We have been doing this for years and years and years prior to even being manifestation coaches.
Well, yes. And, the thing is that you got to keep in mind real quick how people form assumptions. We've talked about it here in the podcast. You can always, go review one of our earlier podcasts for more in depth. But essentially, someone has a life experience and they store information from that. And then it happens again, or they start, observing things in the 3D reality and they start assigning meanings that don't work for them. And then before you know it, they've created an assumption. Well, it's really difficult to manifest an SP. And if your self concept isn't on point, it's going to take a lot longer and it's going to take about a year or two, anyways, because of everything that's happened with you and your specific person. That's not the type of assumptions that we want to have, for one, because why? What do we know about law of assumption? Whatever you choose to have your dominant thought on a topic or assume is what you're going to experience. So if my dominant thought or assumption is that it takes years to manifest a specific person, especially if self-concept isn't fully on point, then that's what I'm going to experience. That's what my clients are going to experience. That's what's always going to be mirrored back to me, reflected back to me. Why? Because it's spiritual law. So if I choose to assume that you can manifest your SP overnight if you want, you don't need the perfect self-concept, guess what? That is how it's going to show up in my 3D reality. I'd like to make a quick point, if I might, about this whole self-concept thing. And I know Nikki has thoughts on it as well. Do you need good self-concept to manifest? No. Is it sometimes helpful in making the process more enjoyable and feel like you feel better because people are treating you better in your 3D reality because you've changed your assumption around yourself and how people treat you? Yes. But we all know of at least one person that we can think of that has the worst self-concept on the face of the planet, thinks that they're unattractive, thinks that they're unlovable, thinks that nobody wants them, thinks that, they're not worthy of love and affection, but yet they're in an amazing relationship with their partner. And they'll even be like, I don't know why this person loves me. I'm not attractive. I don't have anything that I offer. Like, I've just never felt worthy of love and affection. But yet they have the assumption that that person loves them and loves them unconditionally. And that person shows up treating them like a princess or a queen, king, whatever the genders are. And they're two separate assumptions. A person can literally have the worst self-concept that has ever existed, think that they're unattractive, unlovable, unworthy, but yet have the assumption that a person loves them and that person will show up being in love with them because that's their assumption. Two different assumptions, people. They don't have to be, they don't have to interfere with each other. Two separate assumptions.
And I've seen the opposite. I've seen people, and so is Flossie. I've seen people that have self-concepts that are sky high. They think that they are God's greatest creation. They're the best thing since sliced bread. Nobody can touch them. They're the most beautiful, elegant person on the face of the planet. Look at celebrities, for example, and you'd see some of them with sky high self-concept. And guess what? They've been divorced 6 times. They've been cheated on. They have lost their money, whether it be bankruptcy, gambling, or they're just not getting gigs or whatever it is. I have seen, but still, their self-concept is there. And you all know that person. You all grew up with that person somewhere in high school. Maybe you were that person that had that tip-top self-concept. It was the queen bee walking around. Nobody could touch them, but then their boyfriend cheats on them. Or then they get a shitty job right outside of school, or they fail their classes. It has nothing to do with your self-concept. Your self-concept's helpful, but your self-concept is how you see yourself. Your assumption about others is completely separate. Your assumption about relationships, your assumption about a person, your assumption about a job, money, those are completely separate than your self-concept. Is it helpful to have a self-concept where you are identifying as the person that is good with money, that has good relationships? Yes, that's wonderful. It just helps you solidify those things, but it's not what is getting those things to you. We do work on self-concept, both of us as coaches. We do promote, yes, self-concept is good for you, but there is a even we like to keep the scales even, so to speak, when it comes to this, because you want to feel good, you want to be good, you want to experience good things. You don't want to be miserable and like have a good relationship. You want to be happy in it. So, you don't want to have a great job, pay 6K, but you hate your life, we want you to have everything you want, not just one thing or the other.
And, at the end of the day, you don't need self-concept to manifest. They are different assumptions. You have different assumptions about money, relationships, etc. And like I said, we've given examples of the type of people you would know that either have a great self-concept, but they have shit in their other parts of their life. And then some people have a terrible self-concept, but have someone who's madly in love with them, even though they think that they're not lovable and worthy of love and affection. And so You don't need self-concept to manifest. It doesn't take a year or two to manifest an SP. I recently had someone that I work with who was in distress because a coach told that person, here's another so sorry, here's another crappy coach or person who just doesn't understand law of assumption. And I just get so worked up about this stuff. They were told that if they're thinking about their specific person, that energetically it's going to push that person away. So they can't think about their specific person because if they do, basically they're not going to get their specific person. But the client's madly in love with their specific person and thinks of them frequently. And there were literally having a breakdown because they felt like every time they thought of their specific person, that it was just making their manifestation more and more unattainable.
Yeah, that's a whole yellow duck theory. I'm gonna tell you, think about a yellow. Don't think about a yellow duck, Flossie. What are you thinking about right now? A
The
fucking
yellow duck.
right. Like, don't think about this. Don't do this. Don't. Once you tell me not to do something, I'm gonna do exactly that. I'm gonna start thinking about it. So, maybe she's using some kind of reverse psychology. God, I hope so. But that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of because all you're going to do is induce anxiety in a client. I would never tell my client. No, of course, there's a fine line between obsession and, persisting with your affirmations. You want to have that balance, right? You want to live your life and you don't want to be desperate for your desire because you need to relax into it and know it's yours. But have there been times where myself or Flossie have been manifesting something and we felt anxious for it or needy for it at one point or another? Yeah, but it didn't ruin our manifestation. We acknowledged it and found something else to do and then came back to it later. It's not don't think about it, let it go. Oh my God, that's another thing I fucking hate. Let it go. Yeah, no, we're not going to fucking let go. We're going to let go of the need. We're not going to let go of the actual desire. Of course, we want that thing. We're going to persist for it. That's like, oh, I applied for a job, but I'm not going to show up to the interview because I'm going to let it go. They're just going to call me and hire me anyway. That's the dumbest crap I've heard of.
Yeah, I mean the letting go thing, they're like, you can't want your desire. You can't need your desire. And it's like, you know, I think how that got started is because people would really want their manifestation and that strong desire was causing for some individuals to feel desperation, lack, and anxiety. And you can actually manifest feeling desperation, lack, and anxiety because your feelings don't manifest. Your dominant thought on the topic itself is what manifests. But having said that, sometimes when people are feeling anxious, needy, and lack, they give into anxious, needy behaviors that is like trying to force a 3D, trying to manipulate the 3D, trying to force, SP or force situations, or they're looking under every rock for their manifestation because they give in essentially to needy, anxious behaviors that just reaffirm to them that they don't have what they want. I think it's a good idea to put the old story in the trash. I think it's a good idea to put the resistance that you have to the manifestation in the trash, as in let that go if you feel like you need to use that term, but you can still want your desire. You can still feel like you need it. You can still feel like you must have it because maybe it's the money for your rent and you equate that to not having a place to live or food, or maybe it's you love someone so much that you just couldn't imagine your life without them. You can still want it, need it, and feel like, it's a major part of your life, but you don't have to let go the desire of it.
No, no.
The
That's
other
the
one, the other one I can't stand is the whole affirming for your manifestation is also like thinking about it too much, focusing on it too much, and you're gonna like, energetically push it away from you by affirming for it.
yeah, no, that's silly.
It's
That's
like,
the
do these people not understand how you change your dominant thoughts and assumptions on a topic in the first place?
Look, you don't have to like me as a coach. You don't have to like Flossie as a coach. But I will give you guys a disclaimer here. Like, watch whoever you want, follow whoever you want, learn from whoever you want, but be very, very, very cautious about the information you're retaining. At the end of the day, you're your own person with your own reality, your own assumptions, your own desires. You need to take what, oh, I hate this phrase, but I'm about to say it. Take what resonates, leave the rest. But seriously, you should take what makes sense to you, what feels good to you, what feels natural to you. If I say something and you're like, that doesn't sound right to me, don't fucking take it then. Because guess what? This is my reality. This is how I teach. This is what works for me. What works for you may be a little bit different. But the dominant things that we teach, you don't have to let shit go. You don't have to not affirm for something. You don't have to not think about the desire. Jesus Christ, I can't believe somebody said that still. Oh my God. Like, why would you tell somebody that? That's like the worst advice.
Probably because that buffoon thought of their manifestation and, was giving into some law of attraction flippity flop that, energetically you can push something away if you want something too much. And if you're thinking about it, you want it too much and you got to let it go. Like, I think some of it just is they probably weren't manifesting what they wanted when they thought about it, and therefore they reached the stupid conclusion of that. Just like I can't believe someone would tell somebody that you can't affirm for what you want, because if you're affirming, that means you have desperation and lack and you aren't going to get what you want. Because how the F do you change your dominant thought and assumption on something? The fastest way is what? Repetition of thought. What is that doing? That's affirming, bitches. That's what affirming is repetition
Right.
of thought.
Just knowing enough about psychology and behavior in general, like just telling somebody not to do something, we know exactly what they're going to do. Like, and here's the other thing, like this is the other disclaimer, you can do whatever you want, but most of the time these coaches are guiding you in a way that is going to make you anxious. That's going to make you desperate. That's going to make you think, oh my God, I can't have this unless I do XYZ. And the reason they do that is clout. A, they get more subscribers. B, they get more monetization because you're watching all the videos they're posting. They're like, stay tuned to my next video and I'll give you the secret to this. Or, don't do this and I'll tell you on my next video. It's just, it's like watching a series on Netflix. I wait until the whole thing's out so I can binge watch it. I'm not waiting for shit. But these coaches, what they're doing is they're making you come back to watch more stuff, and that's fine. Because Flossie and I'm gonna be the first one to admit we make money that way too. We monetize our content, but we don't cherry pick what we give you. We tell it all. And here's the thing: the other thing is, if they make you desperate, if they make you feel like you're fucking up, if they make you feel like, oh my God, everything I've learned thus far from Flossie or Nikki or from Sammy or from Kim or whoever you're watching is wrong, guess what you're going to do? You're going to buy their course. You're going to buy their coaching. You're going to buy their groups. You're going to buy these things. And that's what you got to really watch out for is that words. How do you say it? Authenticity.
Authenticity.
Oh my God, I can't talk today. And sometimes I do that, but that's fine. Authenticity. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, so, um, find somebody that you resonate with. If you feel like you needed that extra help, do it with somebody you resonate with. You resonate with me? Cool. If you don't, go with Flossie. If you don't resonate with her, find somebody else. We don't care. We're just here to give you the information of what we know, what we experience, and how we, manifest personally, and how ways that you can manifest too. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you. Don't fall for this bullshit. Don't fall for if something makes you feel bad, don't do it. Simple as that. If you don't like tomatoes, you're not going to forcibly eat a tomato every day, right? Why are you going to watch a BS coach because they make you feel like shit? Like, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Well, and like you said, I mean, some of these individuals out there, some of it is they just don't have good assumptions. I think a lot of it boils down to literally not understanding the law of assumption. Like they're pulling shit out of their ass. It doesn't make any sense that they've tried to make sense out of their own 3D reality. And so one of the ways that we form assumptions, if you go back to one of the first videos that we put on this channel, is, or, podcasts, what have you, is, you have experiences and you form a conclusion. Well, not all the conclusions that people come to are correct, especially if they don't understand law of assumption in the first place. Nikki and I would say, no, bitch, the reason why that appeared to be true in your 3D reality is because that's your assumption. And so that's what was mirrored back to you, reflected back to you, because as you probably heard in the previous podcast, there's multiple realities and you're going to shift to a reality where that is what? True.
Right.
Fact. But a large part, beside from the lack of understanding and knowledge, is just literally flat out they want to make money, and so they clickbait you, or they get you all fearful and nervous so that you, like Nikki said, will watch their next content that tells you how to get rid of an issue, or so that you'll buy the course that will tell you how to manifest your SP for sure and keep it, or how to finally get your hand on all that money, or to finally have your dream life. And half the time those courses literally have also nothing of value. And how do we know that? Because we've seen some of them. We've
Yeah.
seen some of them, and they're terrible.
Right. Which also brings me to our coaches scammers. Some of them, yeah. I'll be the first one to tell you our coach is money hungry. Some of them, yeah. Flossie and I make money otherwise. You don't want to buy our course. You don't want to coach with us. You don't want to join our VIP group. Great. You will notice that we don't post videos every day like some of these coaches. You know why? Because we have lives, because we have jobs, because we do things to make money and we get money other ways and we travel and we do things with our lives. We're not just sitting in mommy's basement or, our two-bedroom apartment somewhere or wherever the hell they are and preaching crap. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to name names and we're not going to tell you, so don't even ask. And Flossie knows where this is going. But off the top of my head, I could name at least 15 to 20 coaches that have worked personally with me, Flossie, Sammy, who and other coaches we know that were still asking us how to manifest their SP, still asking us if we can make them a custom subliminal, still asking us questions, DMing us on Facebook. And then we found out they had already had a YouTube channel. They had already been, because we don't watch other manifestation coaches most of the time. They're only brought to our attention if somebody says something. But one in particular that we all coached.
Yeah, I think that person coached with you, me, Sammy, and Sammy's mother, Mama Mermaid. I think she coached with all of us. Literally all of us.
We found out she had a YouTube. She was selling courses. She was selling coaching. And it wasn't even necessary. She was stealing some of our content too, and some of the things I was doing. And some of you may know who that is. But there are at least 15, 20. And some of them will say, yeah, I came from the Mermaid Gang. But these people are still actively paying for coaching with us as they're coaching other people, which I just found ridiculous. You have to be very cautious because I have seen these people start courses. I've seen courses cost anywhere from, we charge in between $100, $200 for a course. And normally those are the courses where we are interacting with you. We are live with you. We're answering questions. We're doing other things. But I have seen people slap together a course and charge $10,000 for it or $10,000 for a month of coaching. Cool. My desire isn't just to coach. I love to coach because I love teaching. I love helping people. But I do have another business. I do have other job, things I do. And those are also my desires. I don't have time to charge somebody $10,000 to coach with them. And I want to do that to somebody anyway, because that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Or you got the $5 courses. Buy this course for $5. Here's an ebook.
I mean, Nikki and I just made something that's completely free because there's so many so many subscribers that, maybe they don't have a large amount of funds or maybe it is, they want to understand manifesting better, but don't know like where to start because there's so many videos. I mean, I know that my manifestation basics playlist has a ton of videos in it. And so Nikki had an awesome idea, which I thought was fabulous. And we jumped on it. And to get it done is we made it a free course for you guys. And all you have to do is, you would create a username on our website. It's just on the website. And it's basically, we have our videos from here, the assumption effect from each of our YouTubes where we have sections, manifestation basics, revision, how to create affirmation, routine, mental diet, persisting, and all those sorts of things. So someone could literally watch those videos and start watching them from the beginning and be like, okay, this is in a way that makes logical sense. The order is logical. And I understand manifesting better now because I've had a series of videos that were like, it's almost basically like a course. We literally follow the same outline that we do in our courses, but we're just using our awesome content that we've already created.
Right. And really, we did that in protest of the BS we've been seeing with all these other coaches charging an arm and a leg. And yeah, you're going to pay for our time. You want to work with us exclusively. That's how we assume the world works, right? Are you going to go into work and tell them you're going to work for free today? Probably not. I mean, there's plenty of things we do for free, but when you have exclusive time with us, of course, we charge for it. But, after seeing all these people get scammed and all this crap we hear from these other clients telling us about these other coaches, we're like, you know what? Let's just do this free course because it's something we can give back to people that have been burned or that maybe just are so confused by all the crap out there. So that's on yourthoughtsrate.com. And I don't want to, I don't want this to be a hate podcast because we could go on and on and on and on. But we do get tired of it. And, just really watch what you guys are doing because we don't want you to get stuck down some weird rabbit hole and completely change all your assumptions and dominant thoughts to something that's not working for you just because somebody told you something stupid.
Well, and and one of the things that you can do in order to, protect yourselves more in the manifestation community, if you want to look at that, is if you're watching a coach, really watch what they're saying with like, a clean perspective and be like, is what they're saying make sense to me? Does it make sense as far as what I've started to understand about law of assumption in the first place? Is what they're saying, um, making sense with how everyone as you pushed out works or how we manifest in general. If you think what somebody's telling you sounds like a bunch of flippity flop and they're not giving an explanation to you of why that would be true, then perhaps consider maybe there's someone who doesn't know what they're fully talking about, and you should take what they're saying with a grain of salt. I mean, Nikki and I have made videos about different topics, but we explain to you like why what we're telling you is either effective or why it will, impact you in some way or how it impacts your manifestation. When I talk about revision, I explain that it works because it's changing a thought that you have that just happens to be about a past event. And our entire 3D reality is made up of our dominant thoughts on a topic. So if you change your dominant thought on a topic, even if it's a past event, you'd shift to a reality where that is how it is. Reference the multiple realities videos that we just made to understand more of like how that would work further. But when Nikki says, hey, use this tool because it can help you with your resistance, there's an explanation of why it would help you with your resistance. And hey, it's not necessary, but it helps to speed things up because you're getting rid of the resistance of your old dominant thought. And you're helping to get rid of that faster by just basically putting in the trash.
Exactly.
When you do like, EFT tapping, that's very helpful. The FU letters are helpful. We try to teach things to people that is based on what we've learned in our education, which we both have master's degrees. And there's a very, 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 very small number of coaches that could actually say that they have a master's degree either in some sort of psychiatric field or some sort of behavioral specialist field in psychology.
Yeah, there are a handful, but not many.
No, it's very, very small. And so some of them, the reason why their videos have no substance is because they couldn't explain to you a possible reason why it would work in the first place, because why they don't know. They're
Yeah.
just repeating what someone said. And that's about it. Putting their own limiting assumptions on it on top of it. That's gonna what? Fuck y'all up. Because you guys are gonna be like, oh, if I think about my SP, it's gonna push them farther away. If I affirm for my SP, I'm not gonna get what I want. If I don't fix my self-concept and heal my inner child, it's gonna take me another year or two to manifest my SP, but it takes a year or two anyway, no matter what I do. Where the hell do
Well,
people come up with this shit?
I don't know, but if you guys are struggling with your mental diet that hard, or you feel like you have a lot of trauma, it's not going to hinder your manifestation, but we're not opposed to getting help. If you guys need therapy, if you want to do biofeedback with me, if you just need coaching, or if you just need a kick in the ass, or maybe you need medication because you feel like you're that far down the rabbit hole with your mental diet or, your intrusive thoughts. Guess what? We're pro that. Go get help. If you need help, get it. I'll be the first one to admit I was on antidepressants. And yeah, I was able to taper down some and change them up when I started manifesting. And at some point, I went down a wrong rabbit hole and, had to increase them and adjust and do things because I was completely anxious. But you can manifest just being medicated. You can manifest while you're figuring your shit out. You can manifest while you're going to therapy. If you need help, get it. There's
Well,
nothing
and
wrong.
that's just, you have to keep in mind, it's your assumptions, right? And so if you have assumptions that certain modalities can be helpful to you, then continue to practice them because, your assumption that they're going to work is what going to work. And a lot of people have the assumption that, if I temporarily use a modality or something as a placebo, I will get to a point where my mental diet will change enough that I don't either need it anymore, or literally I will change my viewpoint. It's like I was telling a client today who was talking about some scarring, and I said, use a placebo because they were really fixed on, typically we have to do something in order to get that go away. And I said, well, then use a placebo. Go out and get some of that lotion that people rave about that helps with that shit, slap some on. And then every time you do, be like, my skin's getting better by the day. And it'll reach a point that your skin looks perfect because you would have the assumption that the placebo is working. You're going to manifest a version of you that doesn't have these issues. And then guess what? You won't need to use it anymore. Having said that, can you change every aspect of yourself with just affirming alone? Yes. Do some people find that a placebo or using something that's in their 3D reality that's shown to be effective, and they use that as a, way to spring themselves into getting what they want? Yes. Is there anything wrong with that? No. You could also look at it as you've manifested a solution. Just
Yep.
because you use something outside of yourself doesn't mean that you can't manifest. There's people who have medical issues, and then guess what? A medication that supposedly gets rid of their issue, their, specific illness, or, maybe they have a form of a cancer or whatever is created, and they take that and their problem goes away. It's not that they're a terrible manifester. They just happen to manifest a solution and then use it and then ended up with the life that they wanted. That's how I look at things anyway. But your mental health is important. If you're feeling like you're struggling, there's always help. Make sure that call a local line if you're like absolutely in crisis. We don't want someone who's feeling crisis, especially if it's from one of these idiot coaches have said. And you can literally do have anything that you want. You can. It doesn't matter what the 3D looks like. You can have it.
Doesn't matter what you feel like. It doesn't matter what you're told. You can have whatever you want. That being said, we're not going to drag this one out. We'll see you guys on the next podcast. Bye.
Bye.